In my last survey with IT founders and leaders, 69% of audience they replied that the biggest problem while they're working with foreign clients is communication, indirect versus direct. And to be honest with you, I'm not surprised at all because when I faced this challenge first time, when I faced the indirect communication, this problem nearly ruined my business and my relationship. So today I will share with you guys what is the difference between indirect and direct communication, how you can use it, when you can use it, how you can choose the right moment to actually bring the indirect communication or direct communication, get more trust and win more clients. Hello everyone, my name is Adam Skoneczny and you are watching Go Global Asia podcast. After many years helping IT companies scale and sell to foreign market, I have created this podcast to share with you what actually works. This is the podcast for professionals who want to learn about sales, global expansion and international collaboration. Today we will be talking about something what I call invisible problem. And funny part about this invisible problem, it's one of the biggest problem that actually can jeopardize collaboration between the teams. And what is even worse than that, it's this problem will occur actually after signing the contract already and after you starting collaboration with the client, after you starting delivering your services. And I saw it so many times that actually the deal, the collaboration was stopped in the middle of the project because the company's seller, provider, and the client they couldn't communicate. As you might know, in the Asia and Western countries, we have a two different type of communication. In Western countries, we mostly use something what we call direct communication, and in Asian countries, we use indirect communication. Indirect communication is a communication where the form of the content is more important than the content itself. Additionally, in indirect communication, we will pass message in the hidden way. What does that mean? The message is not going straight forward, but we will be using the word and structure of the sentence and even body language, sometimes in this way that give you the message, but we don't say exactly what we mean. I know it might sound a little bit complicated. I know it might sound like, Adam, what you talking about? And to be honest with you, I had completely the same feeling at the very beginning when I came to Asia 10 years ago. I had no idea what's going on, why they don't telling me exactly what they need, why they just doing all of those games. So to get you actually on board and make you understand what I mean, let me give you an example from my personal life. One of very memorable situation with my girlfriend at that time and now my wife. So I remember that we were still very early stage of dating, very nice, exciting time. And I was back at home and she went to her hometown. When she was coming back, she called me and she said that she's just coming back and do I want to pick her up from the bus station. And at that time, I didn't understand actually hidden message. In this simple sentence, do you want to pick me up from the bus station? There is actually hidden message. Can you guess what it is? Let me explain you. When she called me like that and she asked me, I said to her, "Oh, I'm actually at the home now and I'm doing some chores or housework. If you want, you can come back by yourself." And at that moment, I failed. I showed that I do not understand indirect communication. So, guys, what was her real request or what was the real message behind that? When she asked me, do I want to collect her from bus station? Actually, the real message is, Adam, you should pick me up from the bus station. I know this is very hilarious for Western people, but this is very normal for Asian people. There are two elements happening here in the same time. One is element of the indirect communication. Another element is kind of cultural testing. So actually, my girlfriend tests me if I am really engaged in the relationship. But for the Western people, if you want me to come pick you up from the bus station, you call me and say, Adam, I will be at the bus station in 5 minutes. It would be great if you can pick me up. No problem. That's it. In- You can now see the misalignment between indirect communication and direct communication. I hope this example help you understand much deeper. So guys, as I mentioned, I will get pretty practical today and I will explain you about direct and indirect communication, how you use it, when you use it, what is the application formula. And let me start with direct communication. So direct communication, as we already know, it's a style of Westerner. And now, when it's great to use it? Direct communication is perfect to use at the beginning of the project, especially when you're scoping the project, when you get into the contracting, or when you get into the proposal. The people during this phase, especially Western clients, they're very right to the point. They don't have a time to go around. They don't want to build the relationship. Why I mention about that? Because if you think about indirect communication, the indirect communication could be great tool to build the relationship. But at the begin, we want to be more practical. We want to help them to show that we understand the issue. We can go right to the point. Second place where you can use direct communication is while you're giving feedback. And this is one of the biggest challenge, especially for Asian people, because when they receive direct feedback from the Western client, it can be offensive for them. And this is a really wrong perception of Asian people. The Western partner, they don't give you feedback because they want to insult you. They give you feedback because they want to help you. Actually, when you hear Western partner giving you feedback, you should take it as a great sign of a deep collaboration. Let me explain. Giving feedback, it's something uncomfortable for everyone. But Western people believe if I invest this effort and I give you feedback, it's just because I want you to be better. I believe there is something you don't see, and I help you to notice that, and I help you to become a better person. At the end of the day, you can have a better outcome for the whole team. And this is how you should perceive the feedback. And the problem for Asian people here is that the Western people, they do it very directly. The reason why they do it very directly because they want to save the time and they want to make sure that the message will get to you, that you will understand. They don't want to hope that you will understand indirect communication. No, they want to make sure that you understand direct message. Okay, guys, so let's talk about indirect communication. So indirect communication is the communication style where the form is much more important than the context itself. What I mean, the way you build the sentence, the way you use the word, the way you take care of emotion of another person. And this is the key element here, taking care of emotion. So from my perspective, indirect communication is communication of empathy. We are using this to make sure that the feeling of the other person, they're very positive. Because of that, indirect communication is amazing for building relationship, as you already can guess. But also, indirect communication can be very, very good for introduction of difficult problem. If you want to introduce very difficult problem and you do it in more soft way, this could make your partner or client feel much more comfortable to work with you and solve this problem. Last but not least, indirect communication is an amazing tool to be used while you're working with the client for a bit longer time. What I mean, when you already create initial trust, when the client know that you can deliver, when the client know that you can communicate with them directly, communicate about the challenge, give them feedback, then there is the time to build the relationship. And you can do it by applying indirect communication, and then the indirect communication will have a much better result than direct communication. So guys, last element I want to talk to you, how you should switch between both of them. When you start the project, figure out the way to use direct communication. Go right to the point, talk very specifically, try to save the time. At the further stages of the project where you already deliver something, when you already work with the client for a couple months, Feel free to use indirect communication. Indirect communication at this stage of the project or collaboration will help you to increase your relationship and bring it to the much higher level. So, as you see, both communication are useful. Both communication can be challenging and can be very positive. The idea here behind that is you need to figure out the way how you can switch from one to another. Guys, if you like this type of the content, I have recorded another video why I have chosen Asia, not Europe. In that video, I am describing a lot of the cultural difference that are occurring between those two regions. If you want to get deeper into those kind of content, feel free to reach to that video. The link is down below. Thank you so much, and I see you in the next episode.